Today I'm here with Dr. Jake Avila, and can I call you Jake?
You can call me Jake. I prefer Jake.
All right.
Yeah, you don't have to call me doctor.
Well, I appreciate that.
I'm not a real doctor, by the way. So
Not a real doctor?
they just call me doctor.
This interview's off to a fantastic start.
My brother reminds me that I'm not a real doctor all the time. So
Is he a real doctor?
He's not a real doctor. He's
No,
a
he has no
contractor.
grounds to even talk about it.
He doesn't care. So
But Jake came by to see me to talk about an important, I guess we could say an initiative,
yes.
a project, and it's the Restoration Industry Management at MTSU. I'd like you to tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do here, and why this is so important.
Absolutely. So first off, my background's in restoration. My family has a restoration business in Southern California, so I grew up working in the family business for almost 20 years of my adult life. I think if you were to count my child labor years, it'd be well over 20 years, but about 20 years. And then I really fell into teaching, so it was not on my radar. Just being a local business owner where we live, I had the opportunity to sit on an advisory board for a college for a couple of degree programs. And it was through that one of the department chairs had reached out and said, hey, they had an instructor flake on them, and they needed somebody to fill an entrepreneurship class last minute. And I agreed. And that's when I fell in love with teaching. And then I got home after the first night of class, and I told my wife I didn't want to do anything else for the rest of my career because it was just fun.
Okay.
And so that's how I fell into teaching. The way that this initiative came about was, when you become a college professor, they want you to do research and to do studies and things like that.
That makes sense.
And that's part of the job, right? So, but academic papers, they're not fun to write and they're not fun to read. Have you ever read one?
Maybe for a minute.
Yeah, they're not fun to read. So, just what I wanted to do, and one of the challenges with that when you have academic papers is quite often, they'll publish a study and then it just ends up being a conversation amongst academics. And there's very little conversation with practitioners, right? And so what I wanted to do differently is I wanted to certainly do the research part, but I wanted to make sure that I was also communicating with industry, that I was communicating specifically with the restoration industry. So all the studies that we took on were related to the restoration industry. So the first one we did was on family business dynamics within the restoration industry. We got it published in a peer-reviewed journal. Did spin-offs with some of the industry magazines, did another one on employee burnout within the industry, and then one on estimator burnout. And every time I would do a study, I'd come to conferences like this.
That's where we're at, a conference.
Yep.
Right behind us.
And I would engage the audience, and I'd say, hey, here's what we learned about the industry or the study that we did. And the feedback that I was getting was really consistent. It was, hey, Jake, thank you so much for doing this work. Thanks for taking on this research. But what can you do to help us find more people for the pipeline, right? It's just looking at educating more young people and then just filling that pipeline of future leaders for the industry, getting more people in the industry. And so that was great feedback, but that led to conversations with contractors at these conferences where we came up with the idea of why not start a restoration degree program. And I think really it's going to take more than just a degree program to fix it, right? So I think as an industry, we could do a better job of reaching young people in general. So, I mean, even thinking about not just, so certainly I'm coming here from a university perspective, but I think the industry could do more to engage high school students, trade schools, community colleges, universities, and it's really going to take more than just an initiative like this in Middle Tennessee. I think this is something we need to do more across the country. So just speaking more broadly, like an example I like to use, so every year at MTSU we have about 175 construction companies that come to recruit our students. Right? And so of the 175, how many do you think are restoration contractors?
I'd say zero.
Okay, there's one.
Oh, I was close.
There's one.
I was close.
And despite my prompting, like that number it's not increasing.
Why don't they come?
That's a good question. All right, so
They need workers.
They need workers, and in my conversations with restoration contractors, I mean they all express that that's a huge need right now. And so low-hanging fruit right now, and I think where restoration contractors can get more immediate results is just by showing up to career fairs like that, because the reality is those 174 other employers are all walking away with interns. They're all walking away with full-time people. So if we show up to the table just to be there, we can now compete for some of that talent. And I think restoration, this is going to be super biased right now, but I think restoration...
Thanks for preparing me.
It's not a tough sell, right?
That was going to be a question, because young people, they don't come out of high school or go into college thinking, I want to do water damage work.
No.
They don't.
No.
But
I think if we train them and educate them now, and if we teach them about all the work that goes on within the industry, right? So if we teach them tell them about fire damage, everything goes on with water damage, catastrophes, and the fact that it's not just residential structures, it's commercial, there's industrial, so there's a lot, and it's just a matter of educating them. And I would put some of our best restoration contractors up against some of the best commercial contractors and home builders.
Absolutely.
And we definitely, I think, would have a lot of success selling that to young people as a career option. It's just a matter of getting to the table, showing up to schools, being a part of these events, and I think we can make progress just even on that front. Mm-hmm. But in addition to that, what we're looking at doing, and yes, we want to start this program at MTSU, and I think it's something the university is ready, willing, and able to get behind. It's something that I would be really excited about launching at MTSU. But even looking at it in a broader sense, so MTSU, we were the first concrete industry management program in the country. And that was an initiative that was started by the concrete industry about 25 years ago.
I would have never thought there'd be a concrete program.
So specific, right?
Because they're just concrete guys out there.
Yeah.
Okay, I see where this is going.
Well, and there's a lot of parallels, right?
Yeah.
So if you think about what goes on in the concrete industry, there's parallels. So in restoration, you have the technicians to the CEOs. In concrete, it's no different, right? Because you have technicians with aggregate companies, with testing, and then all the way up to the CEO. So in that sense, there's parallels. But the other thing that I like to share with restoration folks as we're talking about this initiative is the concrete industry saw this need about 25 years ago. So members of the industry came together and realized that they weren't doing enough, or that they could do more to reach young people, to educate them on the concrete industry, and to help show them career paths that they can have. And part of that initiative was high schools, community colleges, trade schools, and then universities. And then that's where MTSU came into the partnership. We were the first concrete industry management program for that degree program.
Now hold on. So you've done this before?
MTSU has done this.
That's critical.
Yes.
So you're talking about a proven program that worked that you're going to do in restoration.
Yes.
So not something brand new in concept.
No. So
okay.
We have a proven template, and without putting them on the spot too much, because I'm on the faculty there, so they're also ready, willing, and able to help us just learn from their lessons, right? In terms of how they went about it, how they expanded and grew the industry partnerships, how they were able to grow to other campuses on the in various parts of the country, how it was governed, right, and how they make their decisions, and then just there's a couple other things I like to touch on with that. So one is, if you look at the size of the industries. So right now, they estimate that the concrete industry is going to do about $119 billion in revenue this year. Right? When I talk to restoration folks and we talk about the size of the industry, I know we're doing a lot of work right now with NAICS codes and RIAs, just doing fantastic stuff with just advancing that. conservative estimates that I've come across suggest that the restoration industry is at least twice the size of that.
Of concrete?
Yes. So,
Hold on a second. I'm trying to digest that.
Yeah.
Because concrete is everywhere.
So
But I suppose once
yeah.
it's built, once it's installed, it lasts a long time. Restoration is constantly happening.
It's constantly. Yeah.
Storms, hurricanes, tornadoes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we're rebuilding them over and over and over again in some areas, right? So it's just, yeah. So
Okay.
there's, so when you think about that too, and the fact that the concrete industry noticed that there was this issue 25 years ago, they've been working on it for this long, and then they've seen significant benefits from it. So if you look at some of the general statistics, so we have 5 concrete industry management programs across the country. We have Middle Tennessee State University, which was the first one, flagship, New Jersey Institute of Technology, Texas State University, South Dakota State University, and Chico State in California, right? So with that, when we track all of the different statistics, so right now we have about 100% placement rate for students. We have about over an 80% retention rate for alumni that are tracked, so they actually are staying in the industry. They have filled every single position you can imagine within the concrete industry. Everything from technician level positions all the way to the CEOs, to they've had new startup companies, and so they've been able to really push that. Right now, for the schools where concrete industry management is a major, it's one of the top 3 highest paid majors, right? So typically when you go to a college campus, it's engineering and accounting. Quite often those are going to be 2 of the highest paid majors. Right now, concrete industry management of all majors is competing with those. And so average compensation, you're looking at mid 60s to low 70s for students first year out of school.
First year out.
And so there's been just great progress on that end as well. And then
now, how many students are we talking about, like in a year, that come through the program?
Oh gosh, at MTSU it's a couple hundred. Our it's also one of our fastest growing programs. So, and we're also one of the fastest growing schools at our university in terms of just percentage growth year over year. Probably won't be the biggest, because usually on college campuses you're going to have business and psychology are going to be some of the more higher enrollment. But and taking into account again the size of the industry, so if we're, let's say, twice the size of the concrete industry in terms of volume, the concrete industry right now is raising about $2 million a year to this national foundation that goes towards training and educating young people on careers in the concrete industry, and they give about $500,000 a year to scholarships for students that want to study concrete industry management, right? And so, I think the industry is ripe for something like this. I think it's something that would definitely advance the industry. Based on conversations that I've had with restoration contractors over the years, I think this would be just a really, really good thing for the industry.
So I assume that this training, it's classroom work, it's a college, but what about the hands-on component?
Right.
Can you speak to that?
Right. So right now, the way we have an advisory board, by the way, and the advisory board has spoken into the curriculum so far, what it should look like. So students getting a 4-year degree, they're going to have the typical general education. They're going to have a standard construction management curriculum, which is going to cover plan reading, materials and methods, estimating, scheduling. And then the specific content related to restoration is going to be a 6-course sequence where they are going to learn everything from just the dynamics within the industry, competitors. They're going to learn about, just basics of how insurance works, who the key stakeholders are, how operations and marketing and business development works. So they're going to get an introductory course to all that. And then building from there, they're going to have classes in estimating, project management, they're going to have an internship, and then they're going to have a final capstone. As they're working through their courses, they're going to have also the requirement of getting hands-on experience. And that hands-on experience will come through internships, And then it'll also come through a requirement that they get industry certifications. So we're going to want them to get certifications through RIA. We're going to want them to get certifications through IICRC. And so we're working through those details as well, and trying to work with these organizations to figure out what it could look like and how we could partner with them.
What's your timeline?
So to be candid, we were hoping to start it about 2 years ago.
Yeah, things are tough to start.
Yeah, so what we've had to do is we have everything submitted to the university to get it going. We're hoping to have a start of fall of 26, and that right now I think that's feasible, provided we can raise the money that we need.
And we're talking a small start, or we're talking 200 students.
So, I mean, as many as we can.
What's the minimum number you'll need?
There's no minimum number that we've set.
Because you don't want your professor talking to one student.
No. So, an initial goal that we have, it'd be great to have a first semester cohort of 25 students.
Okay. What is the university's ask of the industry?
So, the ask is $3 million, and the first $1 million will get the program started. And then the additional $2 million will go towards student scholarships, scholarship money to get students to conferences like this, where they can engage the industry. It could also be a scholarship that will go towards certifications, like if they wanted to go get exact trained for level 3, get those certifications, IICRC certifications. So that's how that scholarship money would be used. Something else that's really unique, and are you following Doge right now and what Musk is doing?
I haven't heard of it.
You haven't heard of Doge? Okay.
Yes, I've heard.
Okay, I figured you had, and I could tell. You're a funny guy. So with one of the things that's come out with Doge and is Musk has shed light on the overhead that institutions get when they receive funds, and that could be through grants. It could also be through other, monetary gifts. And that number that we've learned has been anywhere between 30 to 60%. That's a common thing, right? So our university has two numbers. The first one is 31.3% that they'll take off the top of those types of gifts, or 42%. So what we did on the front end of this effort is we worked really hard to get that number down. How low do you think we got it?
I would say down to 20.
Down to 20? So 10 and 10?
To 10, yeah.
Okay. We got it down to 0, right? And that took a lot of work. And one of the things that we had to emphasize, and I got to be careful with how I craft this.
Because this is on camera.
Yeah.
Everyone's watching.
Yeah, everyone's watching. So when we look at that, I think the reality that I had to take to the university is if we take any overhead, the industry is just not going to give, right? And because if you think about just universities across the country, they're not the model for efficiency. And so when you have something that's not a model for efficiency and you're taking overhead off the top, and you're just trying to manage that in a practical way with folks that, you're just trying to do something good for the industry, something good for the students, it can be a real challenge, right? And so that's a hurdle that our university was just very generous in helping us work through. And so, and it also speaks to our university's desire and willingness just to be innovative, to think differently. And then when I also look at just the various stakeholders that we have, so my main stakeholders, we have the students, we have the industry, and then we have the university, right? So students are always number one, right? But I think where the industry benefits from this is by having a precedent like that, and as the industry goes and maybe talks to other schools about future programs, we're putting the industry in a position of strength by saying, hey, this other school did not take any overhead off the top, and everything that was given towards that program is actually going to go towards the cause to benefit the students and to bring more people into the industry, right? And so I think that's something that really helps the industry with, moving forward and trying to grow and advance this to other campuses.
So Great information, Jake. We appreciate it. Those watching, if they want to help, learn more, or maybe send a kid to college to be a restoration contractor,
Absolutely.
where can they get more information?
So you can reach out to me. We have these flyers that we're passing around at the conference, and I'll also provide a PDF for you. And on this document, it just provides a quick snapshot of what we're doing. The front has a QR code with instructions on how to give.
So if we hold this up, those watching can do the QR code.
Yep. And so if you wanted to give using a credit card, you can just scan that QR code. It'll give you the prompts. It tells you right here the instructions that you need to do. If you want to send a check, you can reach out to me directly right here, and then I will get you the information in terms of where a check, who to write it out to, so it goes to our foundation account, and then other delivery instructions.
And all the money goes where?
It goes straight to a foundation account at MTSU that is strictly dedicated for restoration-related purposes only. So it is not a fund that can be used by other initiatives, other efforts, or anything like that. It is strictly designated as our restoration industry fund.
We don't want you to get doged.
No.
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 All right.
No. Thank you.